I did respect him. I don't respect him anymore because he say, I'm not going to do what they want me to do and this and that. And
There's no chance. But then I watched it the next month. I was like, he actually did way better than I thought he would have did. But people forget Jake Paul rostered Ohio State rostering, so he's tough. He's not as good boxer, as good skill, but he's tough.
Jake Paul beat Anthony Joshua. That's insane. That's not real. That's not real in any facet. There was never a chance. There's never a chance.
Canelo Álvarez openly ridiculed Jake Paul following his loss to Anthony Joshua, saying he should stop pretending to be a professional boxer. He criticized Jake for stepping into a world far beyond his skill level and urged him to stick to what he truly is, instead of trying to imitate real fighters. Canelo made it clear that Jake's efforts in the ring were laughable and that he shouldn't act like someone he clearly isn't.
right, but you need to do your best or do what you do, not try to be something else. Just do your best as a person. Sometimes it's enough, sometimes for...
Dillian White admitted that Jake Paul had no real chance against Anthony Joshua, yet even he was impressed by how long Jake lasted. Drawing on his wrestling background, Jake showed resilience and survived by being cautious rather than aggressive. However, White warned that this should be the limit. Taking repeated heavy shots, enduring broken jaws, and facing brutal mismatches is dangerous and unsustainable. Even he acknowledged that if he stepped in against Jake, it wouldn't last long. While Jake proved his toughness, continuing down this path only risks serious harm. Boxing glove warning.
But then I watched it the next month. I was like, he actually did way better than I thought he would have did. But people forget Jake Paul rostered Ohio State rostering, so he's tough. He's not as good boxer, as good skill, but he's tough. Wrestling is a very competitive sport in America, and to be a Ohio State wrestling level, you have to be they're physically tough and physically strong. So yeah, he was tough. That's why he survived in there. He did what he had to do in there. He got tagged with a few shots, and he did extremely well. AJ did poor.
In those situations where the fighter is that negative and had those kind of tactics, he went to ground a few times, etc. I don't think people quite understand it. It doesn't matter who you are; it's quite difficult. People expect AJ within 20 seconds to literally, with the first punch thrown or the first jab thrown, just to knock him out. It's not that easy, is it? When a fighter is kind of going in there to just survive.
It's always easier to beat someone that's coming to win than someone that's in there to survive. But they should have known that. They should have known that Jake Paul is never going to come to win. But it's just mad that AJ couldn't cut the ring off. He just made him run. He couldn't cut the ring off and hit him with punches, and he was swinging and missing a few times. And obviously Jake Paul was hitting with a few punches. I was like, I was surprised that and I was surprised that it took so much runs to get him out of there. And then when he did knock him out, he didn't knock him out outright. He broke his jaw and stuff, but Jake was all right. He just sort of just got up and just said, my jaw is broken. He didn't get sparked. I was kind of surprised. I was very surprised. Because that right hand was a big one. I thought, damn, okay. He took it and get up. So maybe Jake is a physically tougher and stronger person than people think he is.
I'm assuming you don't blame Joshua for the money being talked about, 40, 50 million for doing that. No. Oh.
No. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. I'll fight Jake Paul next if he wants it. I'll take that. But I'll go after him, though. I'll tell you what, I'll definitely put him away 1 or 2 rounds. No way he's getting past that. Because that's like, that's such a big moral victory for Jake saying that.
Canelo Álvarez acknowledged that Jake Paul has shown noticeable improvement since his earlier fights, displaying better technique, timing, and resilience in the ring. He praised Jake's determination, but insisted that it's time for him to step away, warning that continuing to face opponents far above his level risks serious injury. Canelo also pointed out that Jake often chooses retired or non-competitive fighters, making his matches more spectacle than true competition. When joking about a potential fight with Jake, Canelo humorously suggested it might only happen when Jake turns 50, highlighting the clear gap between top-tier champions and celebrity-driven bouts, all while keeping a playful, dismissive tone. Boxing glove fire.
He improved more and he do a really good job. Believe I say this and serious. I hope he doing really good job and improve in boxing and it's fine.
Would you ever entertain a Jake Paul fight?
Not right now. Let's see later when I have like a 50 years old.
Brendan Schaub emphasizes that the idea of Jake Paul beating Anthony Joshua is pure fantasy. While Jake has shown surprising power for his size, his skills are still far below elite heavyweight standards. The difference in experience, technique, and physical conditioning between him and top fighters like Joshua is massive. Schaub points out that no amount of hype or social media clout can close that gap. Although Jake's heart and determination are admirable, he remains realistically outmatched, underscoring the vast difference between internet fame and true professional boxing excellence.
Anthony Joshua, that's insane. That's not real. That's not real in any facet. There was never a chance. There's never a chance. And the Jake Paul fans, and I was getting this a ton from DMs and comments going, well, everyone has a puncher's chance. That's an uneducated opinion. A puncher's chance, yes. If they're in a bar and Anthony Joshua's there at the pub and Jake Paul were to sneak up behind him and hit him in the back of the head or, in the side or something, maybe, even then, he's a little light in the ass, but maybe that's a puncher's chance. In a professional bout where a professional fighter at the level of Anthony Joshua is at, and he is going into a ring knowing and expecting to get hit, there is no puncher's chance when there's that much discrepancy in talent level. There's not, especially when the size difference. And some of you will say, Jake Paul hits hard. To you, yes, to you. But also, Jake Paul hits hard for a 200-pound man. He wouldn't even measure in the top 1,000 professional heavyweight boxers in the world as far as the strength knockout meter, if there is such a thing. It's not possible. So a lot of you were tuning in for saying, well, he has a puncher's chance. That's not real. That doesn't exist here. And now they could do this, but I don't think it's going to get the same amount of views, but it would set expectations. If, when this fight was announced, Jake Paul's team said, hey, we're fighting Anthony Joshua. Who thinks we can last 8 rounds? Who thinks we can go all 8 rounds? Who thinks Jake Paul can go 8 rounds?
Even top-tier opponents more than expected. Boxing glove high voltage. Adam Booth gave an honest take on Jake Paul's performance, noting that he managed to make Anthony Joshua miss several times. A significant feat considering the experience gap. Booth pointed out that Jake's footwork, movement, and ring positioning have improved, showing a level of discipline absent in many of his earlier fights. This tactical awareness forced Joshua to pause and adjust, limiting his ability to land clean, consecutive punches. While Jake still falls short of elite professional standards, Booth highlighted that these moments demonstrate real progress, proving that with smarter movement and patience, he can challenge.
And Jake Paul shared a ring. Your takeaways from the 6 rounds that we saw, presuming you watched?
I was impressed with Jake Paul. I thought that, following on from what we're saying, right? A few years ago, he was on Disney as a kid, acting up, and has decided to become a professional fighter. That takes balls, but he's obviously striving to be as good as he can be. You can see that in the way that he moves, the way that he is developed in how he's punching and performing. But to make a 2-time world heavyweight champion that's still live, AJ's still got something about him, to make him miss in such an accomplished manner. All right, so at times he was jumping out and running around, but there were times when he was well in range and still making AJ unable to land a clean, solid shot. He deserves a lot of respect for that. And then the shot that actually finished the fight, that broke his jaw quite badly, didn't put him out. That shot he threw with serious intention has put a lot of professional heavyweights to sleep. He didn't go to sleep. He actually finished on his knees, didn't he? Laughing and spitting blood out of his mouth. So, like they say, it's a special type of crazy and a special type of brave to do it. But I actually, hats off to him, because he showed that he's developing some accomplished little skills in there to look after himself. The size difference is always going to fatigue him.
I know everyone will come with the idea that, oh, well, AJ should just go in there one round and smash him to bits, and that should be it. It was a big ring, right? Perhaps he could have cut the ring off a bit better, but would I be right in saying that regardless of skill level, if you forget about that with the two for a second, if someone is on the back foot and on their bike and doing what Jake was doing, it's difficult, no matter who you are, no matter the kind of separation in skill level.
It's a big ring, and you've either got to run at him and look like a novice yourself, or just take your time and understand.
After watching the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, Moore noted that Jake relied mostly on straightforward movement, advancing and retreating with little lateral action. This predictable style made it harder for Joshua to land precise punches, helping Jake survive dangerous moments. However, Moore pointed out that this approach lacked the complexity expected at the elite level. Limited side-to-side movement prevented Joshua from exploiting angles effectively, forcing him to reset repeatedly. While Jake displayed resilience, Moore emphasized that his overall footwork and ringcraft remained basic compared to seasoned professional fighters.
Paul wasn't so much moving laterally all the time. He was literally running. Look at some of those rounds. He was running. He was going north to south, not side to side. He was running. Anthony Joshua should have been able to cut the ring off. And the times that AJ had Jake Paul cornered, he couldn't get shots off. He wasn't going to the body. He wasn't using his superior size on Jake. I heard Nikisa Badarian say afterwards that AJ was leaning on Jake. Come on. Jake was leaning into AJ, falling into AJ, and that's why those clinches were taking place. AJ is purportedly one of the best heavyweights in boxing. AJ believes he's on the level that he should challenge Tyson Fury. That wasn't the kind of performance that makes me believe Anthony Joshua is still a high-level heavyweight.
Well, you're wrong again. Anthony Joshua didn't look great because he wasn't allowed to look great. When you're in there with a smaller fighter that refuses to engage, refuses to box, to fight, he's running. Think of Canelo Williams' school. Canelo didn't look good, and he got accused of not being able to.
Okay, can I just 1 second? 1 second. I knew you were going to go there.
Oh,
Williams' school was an undefeated 168-pounder with a deep amateur background. Jake Paul is a guy who lost to Tommy Fury with no amateur background. So don't compare the two. Don't compare Williams' school to Jake Paul. It's not the same thing.
No, but I can compare a man running for his life and another man running for his life. These guys didn't want to engage. They didn't want to try to win. Now, I told you, Jake Paul was going to look for one shot. That's the overhand right. And once he misses that, he's going to realize he's in.
That's a wrap for today's video. Stay tuned for more in our next one.